So, hi everybody, my name is Keely Woolley and I am the founder of Metamorforsuccess, Inspiring Leadership Endeavour. And what I wanted to talk to you today is about one of the products that I help serve my clients with, because it is a key link to my Freedom Transformation Formula, which is all about re-injecting vitality back into people's lives. I first got introduced to these products by a lovely lady called Lorraine Wellesby, and I met her through the Santander Women's Leadership Programme early last year in April. And for some reason we clicked. I think it might have been the gin and tonic. But we had lots of laughter, and eventually Lorraine started to get to know more and more about me. And one of the things that she discovered is, apart from me suffering full burnout and going through a big journey of recovery, she also discovered that both my husband and my daughter have suffered with and suffer with very poor health in terms of both their physical and mental health. Both my husband and my daughter have got fibromyalgia and hypermobility. And because you're in pain all of the time, that can affect your mental capacity and well-being. And also with my husband, since he was in his early 20s, and he'll talk more about in a moment, he's had severe back injuries. And obviously when you have back injuries, one, you quite often are not heard because people can't see you, and they can't see a back injury. So, you know, they often say it's excuses. And then with that, when you're not being listened, it causes other problems. And of course, when you're taking lots of medication, both my husband and my daughter, that can have even more impact on both your mental capacity, your gut health, and various other things. I'll talk about that in a little bit more at the moment. But the important thing here today is that I wanted to share with you, or my husband wants to share with you, his story and where he is now and what significant changes he's had as a result of the introduction of Arbonne. And I think also, without realising it, listening to some of the coaching and training I've been doing with my clients, because although when your loved ones don't often listen to you, indirectly they are. But there you go. So first of all, I'd like to introduce my husband, Dean. And Dean, if you could share with us your story, really from when it first started, what caused you to really effectively get to your dream state?
Okay. Hi, I'm Dean. Now, like as Kelly said earlier, was that I started with a back injury in my early 20s, and that progressed all the way through my life really to now. But from about 2016 was when I had a few things done to my spine that I think probably started the fibromyalgia in me. And at that time as well, my mum had been diagnosed with dementia, so her health was deteriorating. But what I didn't realise at the same time was that my health was deteriorating too. And it got to the point where at work I was forgetting things, despite, and this is the crazy thing, that I started off, I'd progressed from doing my job and I'd found myself into IT, and I started getting all the experience with writing programs. I was writing programs for everyone. I've received awards for writing programs. And from that, I'd been introduced to NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, which is about it's getting people to reframe how they speak, things they do, and there's so much involved in it. But that sort of moved me at the same point away from IT because I got so interested in the brain. So because I got interested in the brain, I started learning EFT. I then got qualified as a hypnotherapist, then moved on to being trained as a counsellor, to be a trained counsellor. And so I'd changed my position at work, I'd moved on, I'd become a counsellor. And I'd been running my business as well. So I'd been a hypnotherapist and a counsellor business outside of work. And so whilst all this was going on, unbeknownst to me, that obviously my mum had deteriorated to a really bad point, and I'd deteriorated because funny, I can remember now, was that I'd stopped remembering at work, and I'd started not sort of mixing with my colleagues at work, and I knew this, and I'd started going to the doctors, and I was having all these blood tests and everything, because obviously I was concerned that I was getting dementia because of my mum, because I was forgetting, and what it started was that, and you've probably, you know, you guys probably noticed this, that sometimes that the world's becoming a bit hazy, a bit cloudy, and that's what it was for me. But then all this sort of culminated when eventually, I think it was in about March 2018, that my back went, and it was only days later that I I think my brain went with it, you know, and I stopped engaging it, and that was when, you know, obviously, that was when I sort of, my life sort of ended at that point, because I'd become this sort of vegetable that just sort of laid in the chair all the time, you know, and just getting out of bed in the morning, I was exhausted, just putting my feet on the floor. I was worn out, and my brain wasn't telling me to get up, my brain wasn't telling me to do anything. You know, so that's when the sleep came about.
And I mean, if you can talk about that briefly, because I know, in fact, I'll share this. I mean, one of the things that I used to find with Dean is that he'd have moments during the day where he'd sleep and go almost to like a catatonic state, and yet when it came to going to bed at night, he'd go to sleep, and he would end up being awake longer and longer, so until you got to days where you then was awake for pretty much 2 days. It was almost like a cycle that it went through, and then he'd then suddenly crash altogether. So there would be sleeping that would happen during the day which you had no control over. I mean, it'd be like 1 minute I'd be talking to him, and then he was just literally catatonic. And quite often I know when it's going to happen, because on the left hand side, like his vein would start going and his eye would start sort of twitching, and you know, when he'd be in company, particularly if I did like dinner with friends, because anybody that knows me knows that I'm an extremely sociable person, and I mean, even you were always the sociable one, but you can suddenly see the signals. It becomes too much. His eye starts twitching, and then you'd sit down in a chair and completely gone and asleep within minutes, and yet couldn't sleep at night. So, I mean, first of all, you know, thank you for sharing that, Dean, because I know it can be quite challenging and quite upsetting, and you know, equally, you know, as well as Dean being in this dream state, I mean, the hardest thing for me to watch is someone that's so good with his brain, in terms of writing programs. I mean, you wrote the 1901 census at the prison, because the one that they was using, the system they was using, was so poor, he ended up writing it himself, and then become a big program writer for the prison service, and was recognised across the prison service for it. And, you know, anything he turns himself to, extremely clever at doing it. You know, the training, you know, you absorbed it really, really quickly. And then it was like overnight, nothing. Anything that required any thought process wasn't possible. Couldn't recall anything, couldn't retrieve anything. And I only had a taster of that experience in 2020, when I had full burnout, which is a story for another day. But I know how hard and difficult it is to retrieve those words. You know that word is there, but you cannot, you know, bring it out of the sky. You're just begging it to come, but you can't, because you can't find the word. And it's so bloody frustrating. And I know that's something that you have experienced yourself, Dean. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be quite a personal question, but in that time, how did you feel when you was trapped in that dream sleep?
Oh God, that is quite deep. that's the thing. I don't really know. I felt a lot was like misunderstood. And the thing was, it was also that even when I did think and I went to speak, the words just, I was losing the words. So it was very difficult to say, I'm not sure I really felt anything. I just felt numb. You
Yeah.
know, I just wasn't me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it was, really, it was difficult, even for me. It was just like being locked in a room of thick fog.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was horrible.
Okay. So, what's changed for you in the last 5 months?
Well, I think it was it was the introduction of the Arbonne products. Obviously, Keely has been doing all this stuff in the background, because to me at the time it was just stuff. It was stuff I could sort of hear. I could hear you laughing through the floor. Obviously, I was downstairs. Keely was upstairs, and so I could hear all this stuff going on, and then all of a sudden it was like, I'd be laying in bed in the morning. Keely's got up, getting ready for work, and then all of a sudden she started introducing me to this green stuff that I had to drink in the morning, and she kept on calling it this little gift for me, which was, it turned out to be the Green Elixir skin product, and we started drinking that, and we had it for I think it was for a couple of weeks, wasn't it? And I started realising that one of the things was I'd never been able to grow my nails. And I suddenly started realising that my nails were getting not only long, but they were sort of, they weren't tearing, they weren't splitting. So instantly it was noticing that. And I think in my life is that because I'm not, Keely mentioned that my health isn't that great. I was on a lot of medication, and there was only one medication that really ever stuck out for me, and it was within an hour. I knew that medication was working and it was doing something. And from that, it was like we suddenly noticed that this product was, it was making changes in our life. So that was sort of my introduction to, my first sort of coming about, I guess, from my sleep.
Yeah. So just for anybody that is curious, so there was 3 key products that we was having at the time. So we had the Super Greens food, which is it's made of 36 fruits and veg, and you've got all of the dark fruits, you've got the dark vegetables and the orange ones, all of the ones that are really, really good for your health one way or another. And of course it's highly concentrated, and the great way about it is it means that you're not actually, particularly if your children are not keen on vegetables, it's a great way of being able to sneak that into them without them realising it. And we also had the gut health, which is obviously good for your digestive system, because anybody that's not aware, if you have got poor gut health, that not only affects your gut, it affects your brain, because the two work hand in hand. If your brain's not functioning, your gut's not functioning. If your gut's not functioning, your brain's not functioning. So it is so critical to have those two elements together. And then of course the skin elixir, which helps to generate natural collagen, and this is where the whole thing come in with Dean's nails becoming that much stronger, and and it was really, really noticeable. And then the other thing that we started introducing over time was this mushroom powder, and the mushroom powder has got 5 types of mushrooms. 2 of them, one of them is a reishi mushroom and the other one is lion's mane, both of which are really, really good for one, your immune system, but the other is also for helping you with mental clarity and calming yourself in terms of your stress levels. Now, like anything, we we had a space in between taking these products. Well, I think we had about a month or two without them. So we was using them for over a month and notice has changed. Then we didn't have them for a couple of months. And what was the thing that you actually noticed when you stopped taking it, Dean?
Well, funnily enough, it was once again, it was the nails. We suddenly started realising that the nails were beginning to split, tear off as normal. And because before it got to the point where we was having, well, I was, not something I normally do because I used to work with my hands, was that I was, in that time when we started using it, I had to cut my nails. And then once we stopped using it, I stopped having to cut my nails because my nails were once again getting bad again. You know, so that was something that was quite noticeable.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think the other thing as well, that going back to this drink that Keely was giving me, this daily gift, what I would say is that actually it was quite nice. Actually, I quite like it. It's nice, nice taste.
Yeah, yeah. So, and what's the other thing that's since we've reintroduced it, and I have to say, since we reintroduced, because we noticed the change in our health, our skin, and those kind of things. This is where I started to say, do you know what? I think this is something that I would like to be a consultant for and be able to serve my clients with, because obviously it's been able to re-inject vitality into their lives. So it was so important for me. And through that process, then we started taking it on a regular basis, and we've been doing that for probably the last 2 to 3 months. I think it is. It sort of time goes so quickly, doesn't it? So,
it does.
So what else have you noticed since you've been taking it regularly again?
Well, the funny thing was, it wasn't actually me that noticed it. As you're probably aware, because I'm sure you were standing there when it was said to me, was, cool, what day we're on now? But it was last Saturday, I believe it was. We had some visitors come round to see us. A friend that we see, we've been good friends since you guys were at school. But she came in the door and she immediately went, God, your skin's looking good and healthy. And that was it, wasn't it? That was, so it was the someone else noticing actually that my skin was looking a lot better than it had been.
Yeah. So that's from that side of it, and of course, you know, anybody that wouldn't know. So I'm the young age of 53, and I mean, one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that my skin's improved, and my hair and my nails has improved, and of course, my gut health has improved no end, which is fantastic. Now, there's one other thing that's been really significant with us, is that in the festive products, we have what's called a set, which is called the Dream Herbal Infusion. And there's also, and it's not actually there right now, but there's a product called Inner Calm. Now, what I would love to ask you, Dean, since you had the Dream Herbal Infusion and the Inner Calm, what difference has it made to you, and how has it changed things?
Wow. It was a wow. Basically, I think we got the package came on, I believe it was the Monday afternoon, late Monday afternoon. We didn't really use it afterwards because once my brain wasn't working that great then at all, and so we started it. I believe it was on the Wednesday night. So got up Thursday morning, and my sleep had gone. I mean, I wear a smartwatch to bed to record my sleep because I like to know about my sleep these days, and my sleep pattern for as long as we can know now, it has been up and down, never know when I'm sleeping, and it's all over the place. The figures are everywhere. But when we look back now on the data that I've been recording from the Thursday morning, so we've taken it for one night, that since then all the figures have leveled off, and So the Thursday, I felt a bit better. Friday, a bit more better, because the thing was in the sleep data that I was recording, it was about there's the physical recovery and the mental recovery. Now those figures had suddenly gone up really high. So now my brain was having the mental recovery that I guess I probably hadn't been having for a very long time. And then it was on the Saturday morning when I got up, I commented to Keely a few times that I felt like my old self, that going back, God, probably to about 2012, when I was a completely different person. And I actually felt switched on. I felt mentally aware. It was like the cloud of mist had gone and vaporized, and all of a sudden I had this mental clarity. But and throughout that day was I actually engaged. Something I hadn't done for years. So I was awake, I had mental clarity, I was talking to people all day long, literally all day long. And not at one point did I think, or did I have the eye problem that my eye was closing. I was talking to people, I was discussing things, I was talking about the Anunnaki and things that were going on in Egypt with Keely's dad. And I was remembering all the weird names, like Göbekli Tepe, Lebanon, Baalbek, and talking about monoliths and all this mad stuff that I wasn't capable of. A week, now 2 weeks ago now, and it was just amazing. If I would never have believed that. I guess it was two products mainly had completely changed my life, woke me back up, and I'm still not 100% there, but I'm 100% better than I was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And sorry, because it's kicked in, and because I kept on. Since then, it's been like I've been having these sort of things have been coming to me, and I think one of the things that I had noticed on top of this was that before having this product was whenever I was doing anything, my brain would be telling me to sit down. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to get out of laying in the chair. All I wanted to do was lay there. But since Saturday, my brain hasn't been telling me to sit down at all. So that has been, wow.
So, thank you. So, I mean, actually, there's things I've noticed that you're not doing now. So, what have you stopped doing?
There's no more TV during the day. Basically my life, I was sitting in the chair. The TV was a distraction for my pain levels. So I couldn't just sit in a chair, I had to watch TV. I don't watch TV anymore. Not in the day anyway. I used to watch YouTube all the time. That would be on because it would be something interesting. I guess my brain was taking in some of it, but really it was to hide the pain. So that stopped. There's no TV during the day now. I'm reading books. I'm looking at old things. I'm trying to reconnect with I've actually connected with a couple of old friends again. So I've got some old people in my life. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know one of the things that for you is that since 2017, 18, and you was medically retired, obviously, the frustration that you are not being able to work. I mean, now Dean has worked since he was probably in his early teens, when we when we actually chose to work at early teens and was allowed to, but and not forced into it. But I mean, Dean's always been work. We've got a family that's got a work ethic, so I know for Dean, it's been very challenging for him not being able to work, not being able to contribute to the family. And on those days when you have what I call a good day, and I use the term liberally, I know there was that frustration there. I'm flying all over the place, I'm working, and also knowing that in his head he's not able to make that contribution that he would like to, and that leaving me to feel responsible for everything, because obviously with him being in this dream state, I'm not only sort of having to do the being the breadwinner, I'm travelling all over the place, but also in the home, making sure that we've got the shopping, getting the house sorted out, organising things, making sure that things are organised with our kids, and anything. The responsibility was all left with myself, and obviously that's a frustrating for him. I mean, particularly, men want to be the breadwinner. They want to be the not homekeeper, but responsible for the home. And I know that's old-fashioned values, but the values don't stop. They're programmed into you. And what I would like to ask now, and I know that there's also been another change in life, because part of the group that we're actually with, when being part of Arbonne, when you become one of the consultants and even as the clients, you become part of this community, because one of the big things with Arbonne is all about helping others to thrive, whether it's their clients, whether it's the community, whether it's the consultants that work for them, and also helping youngsters thrive through the fundings that they do and the support they do. And being a part of that community has meant that we're also part of what's known as book club. And oh, there's my dog saying hello. The book club. She now knows we're talking to her. So, but being part of this book club, we actually was introduced to a book called "What to Say when you talk to yourself," or sorry, "What to Say When You Talk to Yourself" by Shad Helmstetter. And I know this is going off beaten track a little bit, but I also know that this has been another key. So, I mean, one, obviously, being able to be woken up in the first place and have the energy, which is why I was talking about this re-injecting vitality, because he could have read this book and it would have made no difference to him at all, because he wouldn't have had the energy to be able to absorb what's being said. But now he has woken from this dream sleep. This book, I mean, it's been like a game changer for you, hasn't it?
Definitely, yes. It has really helped get I think because I was so interested in the human brain that I mixed with the IT, was that this has sort of reintroduced that back into my brain again, to start me thinking that old way. And, I just really wish that I'd had that book back when I was doing the EFT, the NLP, the hypnotherapy and the counselling, because that book it's I think out of all the books that I have read around hypnotherapy, counselling, EFT, all those things, they're great. But would I recommend them? Probably not. But with this one, I would definitely recommend it, and I'd recommend that everyone reads it, because it's about self-care. It's about how you talk to yourself and look after you. Because unless you're okay, you can't look after or help other people. So it's very, very important that you look after you first.
Yeah, well, you can't drink from an empty cup, can you?
No, you can't.
And what's the old saying is that they ask you to put the mask on yourself on a plane for a reason, because if you don't, your loved ones are watching you slowly die on your side. And it's crucial that you look after yourself first, because if you don't look after yourself, then you don't have the capacity to serve anybody in your life. So that's the priority. So just to end on this, first of all, Dean, is Do you now see a future for yourself?
Yes, I do. Yes, yeah. My brain. Strangely enough, I think all the YouTube videos that I've been watching, I have in a sense in my brain was sort of like procrastinating on, and I was looking and I was still looking at software and all these programs and everything. And from that Saturday, my brain has sort of gone, right, don't need that, don't need that, get rid of that, get rid of that, change all these things. But at the same point, I found that not only am I, looking at what am I going to do today,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm thinking ahead. And it's like, it's obviously not, I'm making goals for myself, but it's sort of like the long-term goal, the mid-term goal, what I need to do today, and all of those things. Something that, like I say, once again, 2 weeks ago, I wasn't doing any of that. It's yeah. I look forward to, I think, to training again and to doing things and getting out there and yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And the good thing is that it also means that he has wanted to join me as one of my team of consultants for
definitely,
Arbonne, because he wants to get out there and help others to be able to help themselves and start a journey of recovery themselves. And you want to continue your journey of recovery. I know
Definitely.
that you're still at the beginning,
Yeah.
but you're still much further forward than you were today. And I have to say, I'm getting a little bit emotional now, because it's been game changing for me as well, because I see not only a future for me, I see a future for us and our family. So anybody out there that wants to find out more about Arbonne, but also be able to find out more about the Freedom Transformation Formula and how I help my clients, then I would love for you to reach out to me. I will have details on the link in the comments, but my website is www.metamorforsuccess.com, and I'll also share information about the Arbonne products and my website, so you can go and find out more for yourself. And of course, if anybody wants to ask any questions, then please feel free to ask questions in the comments, and we can have a chat privately. Anyway, thank you, and thank you for your time, and thank you, Dean. Cheers.
Okay.